Christine McMichael, happily married mother of one, is hanging from a bridge 50 feet above a Florida freeway with only a 1-inch tire bolt saving her from plummeting to certain death.
There is an Ford Explorer that just is hanging over the edge of the overpass over 46A. I mean, he's hanging by like a tire or something.
Christine ain't no stunt driver. She just can't control her car. And to be frank, if you drive an automatic, this is what you get. But Christine has no doubts as to the pickle she's in.
I remember looking down out the driver's side window, and I could see the road below, and I could see the cars going by. And at that point, I thought, oh my gosh, I'm hanging from the bridge. I just wanted to call my husband, and I called him and said, honey, I'm dangling from an I-4 bridge. Can you come and get me?
Yep, that's right. She's hanging by a 1-inch steel bolt in a heavy car, and she rings her husband, who, unless he's Superman, is a really bad call.
I just remember holding on the steering wheel very tightly and just thinking, oh my God, I'm gonna fall. I kept thinking I just want to see my baby, I just want to see my husband.
But thankfully, the rescue services arrive, and Christine is reunited with her family, and she's in no doubt as to where she would be if it wasn't for those brave men with unusually shaped helmets.
If it wasn't for them, I would still be stuck there.
Of course you would, Christine.
Stick around for more dumb doings after the break. Meet Super Dave and his useless Hydra boat. Watch the world's most dangerous game of Twister.
Oh my God.
And say hello to a boy racer who's sponsored by the local mortician.
The show where video idiocy reigns and common sense and rational thinking go out the window. This death trap is a Hydra boat. It travels on a cushion of air at over 200 miles per hour. Remember, not long ago, people thought that if you travel this fast, you die. And they might just have been right. This mullet head is Dave Promnitz, but he calls himself Super Dave. That's right, Super Dave. God, look at him. Ooh, what does this do? What if I press that? It's the Hydra Boat National Finals in Bakersfield, California. Tomorrow is Dave's birthday. What Dave doesn't know is that he might be unwrapping some brand new legs. That's Dave there. Dave's doing great. He concentrates all his mind on keeping things under control. But Dave's tiny mind isn't nearly enough. It's a 220-mile-an-hour wipeout. Dave doesn't look quite so super now. A couple of rescue boats speed out to pick up the bits of Dave that float. As the rescuers come ashore, no one's sure whether the body they pull from the water is alive or dead. Amazingly, Dave's fine. The worst damage was done to his mullet. It's an absolute disgrace. Look at it. So what the heck happened there, Dave?
I didn't really know what it did until I watched video of the pass, and you can see that it looks like it sheared the shaft right off of the back of the strut.
Boring, boring Super Dave. He doesn't know what he's talking about. Let's watch him crash again. It seems the only reason Dave wasn't turned into fish food was the boat's space-age capsule, built to withstand even a head-on collision.
That I would never get in another boat without a capsule. I don't care what it costs. You wouldn't be talking to me right now. You got to have them.
Dave has since retired, leaving the lake safe again for wildfowl and pensioners. He's now racing top-fuel dragsters. Good luck, Super Dave.
Gotta go!
Take 4 hyped-up American man boys, put them in a car together, give them a mission, and what have you got? A screenplay for a rubbish Hollywood film? Well, yes, but when you add a tornado and the guys turn out to be meteorology students, you realise there's more to this than a simple road movie.
saw Twister, and I realized just how exciting storm chasing could be, and I thought that it fit my lifestyle perfectly. So that's why I came to Oklahoma to study meteorology and chase tornadoes.
That's right, it's a really bad disaster road movie. Reed Timmer and his mates at the University of Oklahoma study tornadoes. These twisters can destroy entire cities, but our Indiana Jones wannabes have no fear. They've got a Jeep.
The rush is amazing, just having Mother Nature go medieval on you and just feeling the power of being right there next to a tornado.
Today is a special day for Reed and his friends. One of the most powerful tornadoes ever recorded is in town.
I could tell it was going to be a big day right at that moment. But I didn't think, of course, it'd produce an F5. It was a half-mile wide tornado at that time, but we didn't know exactly where it was.
That's right, it's half a mile wide with winds of over 300 miles per hour. Go get it, boys.
We have a monster tornado!
That's a house.
Oh my God! Oh no!
That house is going.
But while the boys are high on the heavy winds, one of the local farmers just thinks they're playing round the twist.
We're meteorology majors. This is what we do.
I don't care what you are. You're crazy. What you are.
We got ham radios. We radioed in. We track it so we can warn people.
Yeah, I know that.
However, cyclones like this don't tend to stick to set paths. They're fickle, capricious creatures, and just when you think you can track them, they turn round and bite you in the bazoomas. But our weather-beaten students clearly haven't got to that part of the course yet.
We saw the tornado kind of heading in our general direction, and debris started raining down from the sky. Insulation, kitchen tiles, dust, tree limbs, and so obviously we realized we were in a little bit of danger.
Go get 'em, tornado. But as experts in their field, you can bet Reed and his friends know how to avoid danger. Oh yes.
So we thought the best thing to do would be to abandon our vehicle and run underneath an overpass, which is also bad because the overpass acts as a wind tunnel.
Oh, right. Overpass it is then. As the tornado passes by, Reed is blown off his feet, and if the boys had been meters nearer, he would have been sucked into the vortex like a piece of grit in a Dyson.
Oh my God. That was the scariest moment of my life.
But little do these idiots care. And as if on some sort of Blair Witch day trip, they're off again.
I'm going to get it. I'm going to get it. Look at this. Right behind you.
Oh, geez.
Later, when the boys see the devastation the twister has caused, it's time for a pie. Size large, filling humble.
We saw just houses leveled all the way off their foundations. We saw a semi-truck that was thrown through a building. It was just terrible. I can't put it into words.
Yes, Reed. Perhaps you should spend a little more time inside. The university library would be a good place to start.
Gotta go!
They say the adrenaline rush that comes with high-risk activities can be addictive. And if that's the case, these next idiots need to go cold turkey.
If you think a Rottweiler with a sore tooth is dangerous, then have a pop at sprint car racing. This sport is so hazardous, the average life expectancy is less than 0. It's -3, which also happens to be the IQ of sprint car superstar Steve Furman.
I love racing, and this is my only hobby.
My guess is that Steve's single right now. The world of sprint car racing attracts some top sponsors, and Steve's bagged one of the most glamorous endorsement deals of the lot. He gets substantial financial backing from the family business, Furman's Mortuary.
All my support comes from my family. As you can see, the Furman Mortuary is one of my sponsors.
And it's a great deal. They get their name on Steve's helmet, and he gets preferential treatment if he needs to be buried in a hurry. On this fateful race day, Steve is competing in the Sprint Car Championships. As we can see here, the early rounds pass without incident.
And a major crash. Helping to work on the car a little. Oh, and we get her upside down.
But as Steve circles the track, a fuel leak causes an onboard fire and moves Steve a little nearer to his creator. Steve hits the deck and rolls over and over, heeding his dad's request to show the crowd the front and back Furman's mortuary logos.
My dad always insisted on being prepared for any type of crash. When I was younger, he always made sure that I knew what to do.
As Steve rolls, Team Furman spring into action. They know they only have seconds to get him into a suit and tie and blush his face for the open casket. Steve's old man gets his publicity shot. And Steve Fireball Furman quite literally becomes the toast of the family.
And finally, a tale of human stupidity, canine bravery, strength in the face of adversity, and a Swiss Army knife. The second most useful thing in the world after string. This is Bear and his owner Tim. This morning, Tim's lunatic of a neighbour stabbed Bear in the head with a Swiss Army knife. Tim doesn't know why. It's because he's barking mad. The neighbour, that is, not Bear. But now Tim and Bear are racing to the vet, and the nasty neighbour's racing to jail.
He's doing pretty good.
Yes, Tim, he is, considering he's got a knife in his head. The blade has missed Bear's brain by millimetres, but the dog's in shock, and so's Tim.
Well, I've had the dog about 2.5 years. He's really protective over the family, and he's part of the family.
In fact, he's a second cousin. But back to Bear and the tricky predicament he's found himself in. The slightest movement could knock the knife and Bear's brains through his nose. So where do they examine him? A narrow doorway. Nice one, Doc. First, the vet adds insult to injury by shaving Bear's punctured head. The poor mutt's gonna get some stick from the other dogs tonight. But at least Tim will have a lock of fur to keep as a memento. With Bear sedated, the delicate bits out of the way, and the vet sets about yanking and tugging the stubborn blade. But it won't budge. Unsurprisingly, Tim and his girlfriend can't bear to watch. Excuse the pun. At last, the knife is jiggled and wrenched free. Amazingly, the knife hasn't injured Bear's brain at all. Tim is over the moon and says something.
Just a waiting period, and hopefully he comes out on top, you know, and he's all right.
But it doesn't matter what he said. The important thing is that Bear was saved.
He said he's going to be all right. He's no harm and nothing like that done. He's just ready to go home now.
Bear is reunited with his master, and they all live happily ever after. Apart from the neighbour who's doing 60 hours community service, but you'll be pleased to hear, not in the local park.
So remember, whatever you do, make sure you look before you leap, or you could end up like one of the hazardous harebrains we've seen tonight. And if you think they were dim, wait till you see the bright sparks on next week's show. Good night.
Good night. Oh. Hey, Jasmine! Jasmine, where are you going? Come back! Oh.
Coming up next week on Dumber and Dumber, a Mexican escape artist fails a job interview. And someone forgets the golden rule of bungee jumping. See you then.
And next week is Sunday at 8:30 here on 5, preceded by magicians taking their craft to the street and to the stars in Monkey Magic at 8 next Sunday night.